Hello and welcome. Today I'm joined by my guest, Mike from Vouch. Mike, how are you doing?
Yeah, good morning. 4 coffees in. So yeah, no complaints, just about on an even keel.
You should be all right till about lunchtime now with that coffee count, I think. Mike, the lovely award-winning service of Vouch, you have been making life a lot easier for agents and for referencing. 2021 notoriously is going to be remembered as one of the busiest years in property history. Just tell us a little bit of your backstory so that the agents that are listening who perhaps haven't interacted with Vouch know what it is that you're all about.
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, it's all gone so quickly, but Vouch is about 4 years old now. And, initially, Vouch was sort of set up as a platform to essentially just help one letting agent. It was built by our letting agent based in Sheffield, where we're based now. And the solution worked that well for them that they kind of just walked Vouch out into the wider world and say, let's go and have a go and see how popular it's going to be. And in that 4 years, we've kind of grown from very little into something that's now part of one of the biggest referencing providers in the whole of the UK, which, as most people would be, very proud of that.
It's a great achievement.
Yeah, definitely. And being able to sort of talk to people and offer a bit of a different solution than what's out there, because before Vouch came along, the referencing process was very, very archaic, quite old school, very paper driven, very office driven. And we've kind of given it that much needed shove into the 21st century. It's basically digitized and automated that process. So, the idea behind this, of course, is that we work with your tenants. They fill out a virtual application form to get themselves referenced. It's a smart form. It works all the nuances out for them without anybody having to think about it. And we also give our agents a bit more flexibility and control about the process. The main difference with Vouch is we won't just accept and reject tenants, willy-nilly, automatically at the end. We actually give agents the chance to review a reference before anything gets signed off.
So you've got all the advantages of that automation, but you still got that human touch in terms of, if agents have particular criteria, because let's face it, those agents are going to know their landlord's criteria pretty well.
Yeah.
They get that say, don't they?
Exactly. And being able to say to agents, look, actually, I know you've got landlords, and let's face it, they're a mixed bunch, landlords at the best of times, but, that it allows them to have a look and have a see and have a say as well. The landlords can do that. You can refer a quick report onto them and say, great, because a lot of letting agents will view that as a win. They can actually say to their landlords, well, you come in and indemnify yourself as well. From that side, you can actually include them in. And I think that helps them, because ultimately, 6 months down the line, if the tenant does end up being a bit of a nightmare, they can at least say to the landlord, well, actually, you did help with this. So there's a little bit of a get out, if that's the right way to look at it. But, since the product came onto the market, the main hook for agents has always been the price point. Before Vouch came along, it was all price point for a reference was somewhere between £18 to £25 a reference. And we just stumped the thing out for a £5, the whole thing as well. And it's because the process is automated and is technology driven rather than having a call center full of people running around like a bunch of lunatics. That's where the price drop has come from. And we know we're doing a good job. We're very proud of that job, because there's a lot of providers out there who've taken bits from Vouch and effectively tried to copy little bits and tie it into their own service. So, that's
what they say is ripping it off is the highest form of flattery, I think, right? But I think the other thing that gives me a good feeling about your service is that you've got a lot of genuine agent user reviews that have backed your kind of award-winning service. It's not just your say so or the price point. It's actually it is delivering those efficiencies every day to agents. Now, we know that not all agents, just as all landlords, there are no two of them that are exactly alike. But in terms of agents and their processes and their needs, and also the volume of business that they're going to be doing, the volume of referencing they're going to be doing, their needs also change. So I understand that Vouch has adapted their service, and you've got one stage up for sort of what I'd like to call a power user, but people that are going to be using it more at scale. So tell us about your Core Plus product.
Yeah, Definitely. And that's the thing, we're very, very big on feedback from there. I mean, don't get me wrong, we don't, sounds bad, but we don't, if someone out of the blue comes out and it's one agent customer saying, look, I don't like this, then like anybody, you think, well, actually, that's just a flash in the pan. But what we have noticed over a long period of time is, yes, we're very lucky to have the loyal customers that we do. They love using us. I don't think they consider going anywhere else. But what we have found over time, certainly over the last year or two, is those agent customers who come to Vouch and have quite large volumes of referencing, a lot to handle, branded, multi-branch customers, that sort of thing, they're coming to us and saying, look, I love Vouch. You make my tenant's life easier. Yes, in principle, I like having a bit of control at the end. But one criticism, I suppose, that we've had from those bigger customers is they have to interact with their reference at the end more. It isn't a traditional outsource Vouch and that you go and send the thing off and you get it back 2 weeks later and you've not heard a word from it. It's just been done for you. The agent's expected to come in and interact with the dashboard and almost sort of administer their own dashboard. That's probably the right phrase to use. Yeah. Now, with those bigger customers, the feedback we've always had is, I've got a lot more to do. I like what you provide, but that's my main gripe. And because of that, what we've built in, as you've neatly teed me up with, is our Core Plus service. So those agents who have bigger volumes actually get the opportunity to spend £10 per reference rather than £5 per reference. And we've actually, over the last year, spent good money assembling a team that basically fully services that reference for them. So that criticism that they've had, we've taken it away. Our account manager who gets assigned to them will jump in, administer the whole dashboard, get everything through that final stage and just send them a report from there. So it's taking the hard yards off. And we've had that department now for about probably just over a year, I want to say. Time goes fast, so if I've got that wrong, I'll have to apologize to someone later. But, it's gone very, very well. We've onboarded a lot of good-sized customers onto that, and the feedback's been excellent because you're doing half my job for me here, but a lot of the guys in here have a lot of lettings background experience, so they know what to look for with the tenants, they know what to keep an eye out for, and they also know when to liaise with their agent and also when to just leave them alone and use their own initiative as well.
And that's the difference between good prop tech and great prop tech. In my book, it's that you have got people with agency background who know what they're doing and who understand how you're going to use it as an agent. For years, this industry was full of solutions looking for a problem sometimes, and people assuming that agents had difficulties where they didn't. But it's really great to sort of hear that the people backing these products now, the people working behind the scenes, have actually got their hands dirty on my side of the table previously. And I think that's the perfect marriage, and that's why it worked. So yeah, well.
And I think that's one thing we're always big on as well, because I can't take any credit for this. It's other departments in here, but particularly our account management team who speak to agents once they're using us every single day. The agents rate the conversations that they're having, the quality of the chats having, because sometimes they will just ring in here with like, actually, this isn't a referencing thing, but I needed some advice with a pesky tenant or a rent guarantee claim or just something a bit sort of niche, if you like, and they can have a proper chat. They'll come off the phone and think, actually, that helped. It wasn't just some generic scripted advice that sounded like someone was reading it to me like a robot. It's a proper conversation as well.
Fantastic. So for any agents that haven't used your service yet, what's the best way for them to sort of get to know more and find out about perhaps having a trial with you guys to see what it's like at Vouch?
Definitely. Well, as you can probably tell from the amount of time I go on and chat forever and a day, probably best to avoid talking to me in person. But no, absolutely.
That's why we keep these things short, Mike. I told you beforehand, 10 minutes. That's all I got. That's all I got.
I viewed that as a challenge, not a time limit. But no, the easiest way is, happy to have it. We'll pass over some contact details for you. We do run offers through Kerfuffle where people do get references to trial before they commit to the service. They're welcome to get in touch. We've got contacts, email, everything like that. It's literally the best way to do it is just give us a shout, drop us an email. We'll get in touch with you, have a little conversation. We'll even demo the service to you just virtually for 20 minutes. It gives you a chance, a no obligation chance to have a bit of a look and see what you think from there as well.
Awesome. Thank you very, very much for taking us through that. I hope that 2022 continues to be as busy as it started. I'm hearing from, particularly from lettings agents, that it's been very busy over the past couple of weeks, and in sort of the first couple of weeks of the year. Long may it continue. Mike, thank you very much.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure.